Hey folks, let's talk about the project. I provided the case studies last time. I noted that the details of the project were forthcoming, and here you go. All right, what are we learning here? There's a few different things. We're going to begin with some research. This is the first time you've had a formal opportunity to identify and integrate some source material that you find on your own. Citation, we are going to be doing bibliographic formats for Chicago-style citations. You've read Rampolla, you realize that there's a footnote version and a bibliographic version. We'll deal with the footnotes later. Footnotes are a feature of academic writing, not this sort of general presentation. So we just rely on bibliographic footnotes here, and I'll show you how to put those together for a range of different sources. Presentation construction, making your Google Slides, making your PowerPoint. I have some guidelines for this, so I'll present that to you. And then finally, if you haven't done this already, you'll get to put together your own screencast recording. Okay, so let's break this down just a little bit. Students will read an assigned chapter in our world history textbook. You may or may not know this, but we do actually have an online textbook. I honestly don't do it a whole lot, but in some cases for introductory information, I find it pretty valuable. So that'll be the first step for most of you. Cahokia has such a small section that it doesn't really merit giving that to you, but there's an elements of Civ organizer in which you will chart the information. That's the framework that we're dealing with this presentation. So some of you may be like, okay, well, I have my case study. What exactly am I talking about here? You are going to dissect the civilization. You're going to explore its anatomy. What does it look like? What are the features? What are the elements of civilization? Let me show you real quick. We have an elements of Civ chart here. So these are the things that you're looking for. This provides context, who, when, where. Some people are like, well, what does who mean? You know, I'm doing in this valley, for instance. Well, you know, there are some different major cities in this valley. Cahokia, you have different ethnic identities and what's really a metropolis. So, you know, do your best to unpack who we're actually talking about. In some cases, it might be relatively straightforward. Economy. Where are they making their bucks? How do they trade? What is the foundation of their economies? Are they growing corn? What are they doing? Social organization. As we discovered, as you get complex societies and specialized vocations, you get cool things like awesome monuments and architecture. You also get social hierarchy. Are you able to identify what that hierarchy looks like? Are there slaves? Can you find out roles of women, for instance? These are tough historical questions, sadly, to find information on these things. Engineering and technology. We're looking at infrastructure, like roads, irrigation. Okay. Is there a system of writing? That's a technology. Complex institutions and administration, government, religion, law codes, ways to just, you know, different ideologies, ways to establish order. And then also to facilitate that order. Okay, finally we have here art, sciences, leisure. You know, what do they do for fun? What sort of cool art did they produce? So as you fill this out, you will discover that some boxes have a lot of information. Some might have little or zero information. Based on sort of the quantitative map of information too, if you see gaps here, this could lead to questions like, why am I not hearing anything about women, for instance? Or, I didn't find anything about art. What were the religions? Identify based on the information here. It could be a gap that you have. It could be like a really tantalizing question. Like it might be based on information you do know that you just develop that question further. But the idea here is to develop, I don't know, 1 to 3 researchable questions. 1 is fine. You don't want too many. You want your research to be focused. So maybe 1 to 3 questions. And you add that down here. Okay. Do take a look at the other requirements here. I just wanted to sort of talk about what the categories of the elements of Civ are. All right, let's go back here. So research, you'll do the text, you'll read and chart the text that I give you, and then you'll have an opportunity to pursue at least one outside source. I mentioned this, citations, bibliographic reference in Chicago style. Presentation construction, we're going to be doing a quote-unquote cardinal presentation, PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation based on your research. I'll talk a little more about what that means, the cardinal aspect. And then finally, screen recordings. You're going to make a screencastify. The grading, this is 40 points. Half of it goes with your PowerPoint or Google Slides construction. And then there's some other points that go in with, have you done the preliminary organizer? Have you cited? Have you constructed a screencast? And then finally, have you actually screened your screencast for class? And we're going to be doing these in small groups on the last day, which is either the 17th or 18th, depending on if you're in odd or even block. Okay, I talked a little bit about the elements of Civ Organizer, probably more than I had planned, so I'll sort of cruise through this part. This is an important point. Like, for instance, you might discover something writing, and writing is a technology, right? It's also an art. It's also a really important administrative tool. You know, you're going to find some details in your text, and you're maybe going to be unclear, well, which category or which element in that organizer should I assign that to? And the answer can really be any of the above, right? So in your sort of, you're taking ownership for this, and I trust your judgment as you sort of place it where you like. Just knowing that if you put writing in an administrative tool, you probably wouldn't talk about the beautiful literature that they write and consume for leisure time, right? So, you know, based on how you construct the importance of the writing, you can put it in one or even several categories. Okay, we talked about the question. Consult at least one extra source, put that information on your organizer, and then use this information to construct a presentation. What does a presentation look like? You know, I hate actually assigning numbers, so I say 8-ish page. I don't have a time limit, although I would suggest under 10 minutes, so it's more like a ceiling rather than a time range. And 10 minutes is quite a bit of time. Believe it or not, a lot of people approach that time and exceed that time. So try to keep it under 10 minutes here. Breakdown. So if we went with an 8-ish slide page, you have a title page, you have maybe a slide that does who, when, where. You might even divvy that up a bit and make it slides 2, 3, and 4, or just 2 and 3. I don't know. You might have separate pages for each element. In some cases, people like to combine pages. Like, for instance, you're seeing a really strong association between art and religion. So, you know, maybe you want to align those aspects to a single page, and that's fine. Or maybe you're seeing a strong alignment between economy and social hierarchy, and you kind of want to align the information in that page. That's fine. So 8-ish pages. We don't want to overload the information on those pages. But at the same time, if it makes sense for you to combine those elements, you should do that. And then finally, you'll have, oops, I am not having you cite images. I forgot to strike this. I've done this in the past, and I feel like we need to go bare bones, important skills, and we'll do the bibliography, not the images cited. All right. Page format. That's, I kind of mentioned the format of the larger presentation. What does page format look like? I am adopting a 166 model. What does that mean? A single idea, no more than 6 bullets, no more than 6 words a bullet. Okay? So, scale back text. Like, for instance, in my screencasts, not that they're the most brilliant presentations, but at the same time, I think they provide something of a model. The idea is to really capture the value of a visual presentation. And those are in pictures, not words. In some cases, you might want to use quotes or something like that, and I get that. In that respect, the sort of words are functioning more visually. But in general, scale your text back. In this presentation, and in really any presentation you do in high school and beyond, your screen should not be your notes for the presentation, okay? Words should be scaled back. Key points, maybe technical terms, okay? Select clear images, okay? Especially since we're trying to find nice big images to put in your presentation. You might find a really cool image, but then once you make it bigger, it's really blurry. So try to find images that are clear. Do not stretch an image. You can stretch from the corner, so it's, the same, so it looks the same, but don't stretch from the sides or the top to fill a space. It's a violence to an image. You may, of course, crop it. Do not stretch it. And images are not space fillers. They should be sources of instruction. Use the image to reinforce points in your presentation, and vice versa. Okay, finally, the screencast. I have a YouTube tutorial on uploading the Google Chrome extension of Screencastify and some basic tutorials on how to use Screencastify. You'll discover that there is a toolbar in the lower left corner that you can sort of highlight things, you can turn your camera on, you can do all these things. I'm not requiring you to use any of those tools. You may use those tools. If you want to be sort of creative with it, you're absolutely welcome to do that. All right, team, I think this, this doesn't bring us to our end. I'm not going to really talk too much about this next slide. But this slide is going to be really important for you to finish this up. Historically, we've developed strong rhythms in the fall. Do this smaller assignment, turn it in. In this case, I'm giving you a big assignment that is due at the end of this 3-week period. So I sort of chunked it for you. These are not hard and fast deadlines. You're not punished if you don't meet it. And at the same time, I really encourage you to meet it, because if you try to put this off at the very end, as you may have done in previous years, it will turn out badly, okay? So here's the suggested pacing. Again, we have 3 weeks. I'm giving you great leverage with how you use your time. We have mandatory synchronous times this week. It's not like that in the future. Optional synchronous means I will be present. You can stop by. In fact, I encourage you to stop by. Asynchronous means I will be gone. I am at a senior function. Senior as in senior class, not like I'm a senior citizen, okay? Don't get it twisted. Optional synchronous, this is presentation day. All right. I thought I had one more thing to say about this. Oh, make sure you touch base with me. If, for instance, I have, this is today, I'm giving you this information. If, for instance, I haven't heard from you here, I haven't heard from you here, I haven't heard from you here, and then all of a sudden it gets to this time right here, and I'm hearing from you that you might need extra time, or if you have a question about something, I will be sad, okay? I'll be very, very sad. because we should have had these conversations up here, right? It's an indication that you procrastinated. I understand procrastination is a thing. Do your best to stay on top of this. Take ownership of it. Do great work. All right. I'm going to sign off. I think that's what I have here. All right. Thank you, team. Appreciate it.